Welcome to the APECS Podcast. This week we talked about fatherhood, Father's Day, how that relates to our faith, family, fitness, finance, and what we want to leave to our children to break generational curses and prepare them for their future. Stay tuned. All right, Father's Day was yesterday. How was it? Was it yesterday? What's today, Monday? Yeah, it was yesterday. How was yesterday for you guys?
It was good for me. We had family over at the house, grilled some steaks, had a bunch of fixins, sides, we call that fixins.
Fixins? Or
Fixins.
what does that entail? Is that like side items?
Some people call it, yeah.
Side items? Oh.
So, like mashed potatoes, green beans, corn, rolls,
Well,
salad, steak, sirloins, venison, beef.
okay. Well, I appreciate the invite next year, so I think it'll be good. I think it'll be nice to join you for that. Well, I'm glad that everybody's Father's Day. This was Jonathan's first Father's Day.
Woo.
How did that feel?
That's great. I grilled burgers. So I went over to a friend's house, and they said, oh, hey, we'll have the young people cook so that his name's Clay. The father can sit back and relax, and I cooked all the burgers. And then everyone was like, wait,
So how many
you're a dad too. So anyway,
Oh yeah,
it was
no.
fine.
Well,
It was
you're
fine.
the,
My
you're the,
feelings are
you're
not
the
hurt.
newbie dad. This is my second Father's Day, so it was enjoyable. Very appreciative. I
your
had a
kids
chance
grew up
to-
a lot in 2 years.
They are definitely grown. So the way we had to handle it is a lot different, I guess you can say, from dealing with kids at a younger age.
So in the Hispanic culture, do they do something different on Father's Day, or is it pretty standard?
Yeah, we do a piñata for Father's Day. It was an image of me that they stuffed with candy, all my favorite candy, and they beat the crap out of me to get back. Yeah.
No, it's like a
That's almost as worse as last week with the whole celebrating life thing. You guys are just joining. I didn't understand that celebrating life actually meant that you're celebrating somebody dying. And it was my
celebration of life.
Celebration of life, excuse me. And it was my mom's birthday last week, and
So
I told her we were celebrating life, and
Yeah.
it was actually mean they thought that she had died, but no, she's alive. So, no, but that's a good thing. That's why we're trying to educate all of our listeners and our viewers that, hey, culturally things are differently. But naturally,
things are
Hispanics, yeah, we're going to barbecue and we're going to throw things. But I actually did a little bit something different. I got together at a local brewery and had some beer, and dang it, we did eat Mexican food. God. Okay, well, yeah. We basically stuck to the same thing. We did a carne asada. We didn't have no venison, but, I mean, we did have some cerveza and some carne asada, so it was good.
Can you explain to them what carne asada is?
Basically, we had fajita meat. We had barbacoa. I know everybody knows barbacoa.
Oh, yeah.
So we had barbacoa. We had carnitas, which is like pork. We had empanadas, which is basically stuffed desserts with meat, I guess. Yuca fries. I mean, that's not really Hispanic, but yuca fries, they're pretty good. I'm not sure where they're actually from. Guatemala. I don't know.
Our TikTok
But yeah.
is awful. Look at
We're
all these
still-
videos.
So we're still learning. But anyhow, but actually the most enjoyable moment for me was actually being able to kind of spend a couple of minutes with my pops just talking about stuff. So kind of made me think, like, one, the expectation of living up to what I consider a great father is pretty hard, especially going in year 2. I feel like the how somebody who's like a great superstar or in sports, I'm always going to correlate sports, how they follow along to their father or their siblings when they were great. Like, you see the way they carried themselves and were. It's hard to try to copy it because, I mean, everybody has different personalities. Do you ever feel pressure of whether you see another father that's you feel is like amazing, and do you ever feel like the expectation is harder, or do you feel like, no, I'm gonna set my own way?
It kind of depends. I mean, I've got several, father figures in my life, people who've kind of mentored me. There are behaviors in those guys that I would like to emulate, mirror, take on. But there are things that I learned from people that I don't want to do. And I think the balance of all that's important, you know. I want to teach my kids to be a better version of a parent than I am and my wife is, you know. We want to train them to just be better than us whenever they have kids, you know. So.
But how would you know that they're going to be better than, like, do you see your own strengths and weaknesses and how you apply that to your children? If you say you want, because that term is used a lot. I want to show them to be better than me, but the only way you can actually do that is to actually present or identify what your actual weaknesses and your strengths are. And that's for mothers and fathers. That's for everybody.
Well, sure. I mean, it's like what we talked about earlier. It's like how I train my child, how I coach my child. It may be something that was, as a kid, I perceived what a parent ought to do or a parent shouldn't do. So now that I'm a parent, I try to do the things that I remember as a child I liked, and then I don't do the things that I remember as a child I hated.
Well, because that's the thing is, like, I mean, you can be as self-aware as possible, but your kid is still going to see things in you that you don't see yourself.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you want to instill the heart in them, because that's really the only way that you can guarantee that they will be better than you is by cultivating that heart. And the heart to be better, and then they will identify those things along the way that you couldn't see in yourself or whatever. But hopefully you got good guys who will call you out on your
on the BS.
On your stuff as well.
So your daughter didn't hit her 300 free throws that you were expecting her to do at 3 years old, and you got a set, right? Yeah.
So
perfection. You want them to have perfection, but that goes into.
I just want her to make 50%. I didn't even do that.
You see, as you said, you want her to be better than you, so you want her to have a higher free throw percentage than you.
It's that's low on the totem pole, but yeah, I want her to excel at that too.
So that last basketball game we had prior, and whenever I do really good in warm-ups, I pretty much know I'm gonna bomb the game, which happened.
I can agree with you too.
So I was warming up. I hit like 6 out of 7 threes. I got to the free throw line. I think I got like 7 out of 10 free throws. I was, rebounding people. I was like, oh, I'm feeling good. Went into that game, missed a layup. That's the only shot I took the whole game.
On video, I saw quite a few other stuff, so you're being very humble right now. So
we made the playoffs. Did we?
We did.
We made the playoffs.
In this recent league y'all were playing?
Yeah, we made the playoffs.
Yeah, but y'all didn't win. Y'all didn't win any games.
So, yeah, we won 0 games.
Okay, it was going to say it louder, but I wasn't going to try to call you out in front of my 5 audience and your thousands. But I want to be on that basketball tournament. Well, then.
So I guess they were missing a spot.
Yeah, I don't really know.
/ they liked us. I don't know.
So
they gave us a shot. They gave us a shot. They put us in the playoffs. And we
definitely be there for that playoff game. I will make. When's the game? Because I'm about to make an announcement right now that the gym is going to be
Thursday last week.
This week?
Last week.
The playoff game was last week?
Yeah.
We didn't play it.
What happened?
We didn't show up. We had the church thing happen that night.
Oh. Guys, I'm actually hurt by this.
Priorities.
Okay, so listen, that's a tough one. I want to commend these two because they chose their faith over a basketball game, and we've all discussed
low standard. There's Christians dying all over the world for their faith, man.
Yeah,
but we sure sacrificed that basketball game.
That's the thing that I'm trying to learn right now because for sure. And we've all discussed it, and those who are just tuning into me right now, I'm 45, Jonathan's 13, and Michael is 30. Okay, no, Jonathan's 22. And at their age, I would have totally explained to my family and friends that it's a very important basketball game, and I wouldn't be able to miss it. So that's the part of how, even at this age, I'm still learning that you have to have your priorities.
You gotta
because
put those F's in one.
I really was looking at both of y'all like, y'all didn't tell me last week, did y'all win? Wait, I was actually with them last Thursday at church.
I can
if I would have known that at the end time,
sure.
If I would have known when I showed up to church that day, I'd have been like, guys, we we have a chance to make it to the game. But okay. So with that being said, I can't say I'm not disappointed, but I'm also happy. I don't know that if that makes sense, but
It doesn't.
okay, it doesn't. But look,
Zero.
and with that,
Well, let me ask you this: what are some things, talking about training your child? What are some things that you want to leave for your children when you pass on or as you get older? What are some things that stand out to you that you want to say? Okay, this is what I want to leave my child with or my children with when I go.
How can they be better than you?
Yeah.
What do you
are,
think?
are we limited to a certain number? Because I mean, to me, there's a lot, but
If you had to just say, this is it.
All right, go through the F's. Faith. What do you want to leave your kids with as far as faith, spirituality goes?
believe who our Creator is, fear God, and encourage others to believe. Fitness, faith, family. Family, do whatever you have to do for your family, no matter what. Your family always comes first. Faith, family, fitness, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and enjoy the life that you are given. Faith, family, and finances. Finances, this is something that my dad, it might not, a lot of people might not agree, but my dad always taught me, always keep cash in your pocket. Always keep cash in your pocket. It's just something that I've picked up on, because you'll be surprised how many people don't carry cash, and you get to a point where, oh, I don't have a cash, I have a debit card. They always carry cash, and that's one thing that I've kept. So, Michael?
That was it?
Yeah, faith, family, fitness.
Bro, I bought a car recently, and today I was looking for something in my car. I found $5 under the seat. That's how I started my day this morning, bro.
That is
And
the
it was
greatest.
not my $5. So
It was
I got a
yours.
bonus. I stole it from you, put it under my seat, forgot I had it there. No.
Faith.
For faith, I would want my kids to understand the love and forgiveness that Christ offers. And I want them to understand what it means for them and their friends, them and their family, them and people we don't know. That would be what I would want to leave with them. Because with faith or with love and sacrifice, I mean, that covers a lot. And I want them to understand that, have a good grasp of that, and who you can find that through, that peace and that comfort. So I want to leave that with them. For my family, I think it's along the same lines with faith, but I just want them to be the best version of them that they can be. Whether it's, my youngest daughter, she's the one that wants to make everyone laugh, and she's the one that wants to make everyone smile, and she just has a playful attitude. I don't want her to lose that spirit.
Yeah.
And so keep making people laugh, keep making people smile, because there's a lot of mental illness in the world, and I want her to use her ability, her talent to make people happy, because she has that ability to do that. So I want my kids to remember their talents and remember, who they are. Fitness, I'm not, overly jacked, and I want to stay.
Look good. No, overly jacked compared to what?
Well, I'm just saying, like,
You're the best Michael Jenkins there is.
I think I could be better.
Unless we find someone else in the way. Sorry, Michael.
If there's a Michael Jenkins watching, please keep that to yourself.
And if you're jacked, don't ruin this
No,
guy's parade.
there is a Michael Jenkins that played in the NFL. So.
Oh, okay. Well, it's yeah. He's
Next
out of the
topic.
NFL.
But I think with fitness, what I want to tell my kids is, I've got 2 girls, so they're going to struggle on fitness, the areas that I just have never been able, I just don't.
Explain.
Yeah. And so what I want them to do is just remember that there's balance. There's balance in it all. And I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, so they don't really understand balance right now, but there's balance. I can't just be in the gym all day. I can't just eat healthy all day. There's balance in those things. There's family, there's faith, there's all these other things, of these other components. I want them to remember that. And then finances, I think it goes back to balance. Be careful where you spend your money, but be a giver. I want them to pour out what they have on other people, pay it forward, share with their blessing with other people.
That's a good one. I should have mentioned that too, because I did notice my dad. No, I don't want to ever take credit away for what my father taught me, but that was definitely something. He was always the one that wanted to first grab the bill, and he was always the one that was like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Hey, when I had friends over, we'll go somewhere." He's like, "Oh, what do you guys want?" So, no, that's definitely a good point.
Yeah.
Which again, in balance, because I've known people who do that to their own detriment, right? I mean, like, there's people drowning in debt, still wanting to get the bill for everybody, and harming themselves, right? So you have to. Yeah. That's the steward conversation we had, right? And balance all of those things, but. So
that was me on Saturday night, but that's fine. I'm learning. I'm just kidding everyone who was there with me on Saturday night. I love you all, but I gotta sell a lot more plates. But anyways, go ahead.
Let's see. So faith. What do I want? So Solomon ends Ecclesiastes by saying, "Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." So if you take that principle right there, then that will cover so many things. If you take Jesus' statement of the greatest commandment is to love God with your heart, body, soul, mind, and all your strength. If you take that principle and you apply that, you take these basic teachings of the scripture from a young age and you take that into your adulthood, well, then you'll continue to study and you'll continue to learn and your spirituality will deepen. But if you keep those core principles in mind, you won't lose yourself in the process, because there are people who it's very, very easy to get involved in the do's and don'ts of religion, right? Which is important. Part of what Solomon said in Ecclesiastes was fear God and keep His commandments. So keeping the commandments is important, but you can get very, very lost in being right and doing right and thinking that you can earn God's approval yourself, while that's literally impossible. And so you want to, again, balance having the heart to do what's right while still recognizing that you are no better than anybody else, and still being able to approach the people around you with that humility and love. Because the second greatest commandment, according to Jesus, is to love your neighbor as yourself, right? And so, approach life with love and faith and the willingness to continue to learn and grow. Let's see, that's faith. Family. Invest in your family. So a good quote I heard recently was, the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence, it's greener where you water it, right? So if you're not willing to invest into your family and put the work into your family it takes to make it grow and succeed, well, then your family will fall apart, and people do split and people do leave because they think that there's something better out there. And the only person you can control is you, right? So in a marriage, it's not always 50-50. Sometimes it's 80-20, and sometimes it's 20-80. And sometimes your wife is just going to come home and not have much left to give, and you got to pick up that slack, right? But if both people have the heart, again, to want to invest, then you will pick up that slack for your partner when you can. Same for picking up, the slack for your children and being there for your children, being the rock for your children. Advice may vary specifically depending on if you've got a daughter or a son or how old they are or whatever, but the general advice, invest into relationships. Obviously, prioritize your family. And then I would add to that, goodness, I'm going on for forever, but as far as the relationships, family.
For being the youngest one here, me and Michael are sitting back like, we're horrible for this. Jonathan's the youngest one, and he's like kicking all the knowledge to us.
That's not exactly what I was thinking.
No, I would add on to the family, though, because I've got a lot of blood family, but I've got a lot of people that I consider family that are not blood, too. So don't be afraid to plug into your community, right?
I think you said your name.
I would consider Michael family. Well, I guess he also married into my family, so there's that.
But, that doesn't count at all. That's my default.
But I mean, don't be afraid to plug into the community, the church family, the gym community, the whatever. Find good mentors. What is it, Hebrews 13, that says consider the outcome of their way of life, right? So look at people who are where you want to be, and then look at the steps they took to get there, and take those mentors and take those role models into your life. I think that's very, very important as far as the relationships go. Let's see, faith, family, fitness. That's pretty simple to me. Enjoy life and enjoy moving. That just comes back to being a good steward conversation to me. God's given you one body, and, once your knee is gone, it's gone, and you're going to feel that for the rest of your life potentially, right? So treat your body well, but enjoy life and just move. And as far as nutrition goes, view your food as fuel. Don't view your food as just a means of pleasure, but at the same time, enjoy life. Don't be a crazy health nut. Don't be a crazy, whatever, but move, enjoy life, eat good, nutritious food and just
Empanadas.
live with balance. Don't be a glutton,
Empanadas,
you know,
yeah.
and you'll be
Candy.
fine. You know, I think some people get more into fitness than others, and you want to pursue a certain sport, whether that's bodybuilding or it's powerlifting or it's football or basketball or whatever it is. That's cool. But for the other 90% of us, just move and enjoy life, and don't slow down and don't be a glutton. Finances, yeah, be a giver, be a saver, be an investor, and be a spender, and figure out how to do all of those in tandem with good discipline in your life without one completely overriding the other. You can't give all your money away, or you can't pay your bills. You don't need to get the biggest apartment and the most expensive truck, or else you'll have no money to save, invest, or give. You can't save all of your money and just be a hoarder, because then it's never used for anything and it's pointless. You can't just invest all of your money away, because it's going to grow and grow and grow, and if you never use it for anything, it's pointless. So again, figuring out how to balance those things in your life, and we've used that word a lot. But
I mean, both of you guys were great with that.
Thank you.
But no, I actually learned. No, I'm saying it in a good way, because I learned some of the things that you mentioned, and I want to adapt it in my own life.
Yeah.
But I think that, I mean, we covered how many topics is that? Faith, family, fitness, finance. So 4 different topics, which I think in our society is expected. And believe me, you can correct me wrong, and I hope nobody gets offended by it, but most of the time they expect that men are supposed to be the ones to handle those items, like, or lead the family. So what about the pressure that men feel, or the leader or the person of their household, of making that happen? Like, when do we get to take that break, or should we, or are we not raised to? I mean, because you actually said, oh my God, I just forgot it, what you had mentioned, and part of what you had said, something along the lines where it's what's expected of us to teach. But, you know, do we get a break? I mean, is it okay for acceptance for men? Oh, mental health. Excuse me. You actually used the word mental health. That's what I was going to segue into it. Was we have these expectations, and we just mentioned what we expected on it, but what are we doing about our mental health to actually be able to continue to produce and to continue to guide and lead and teach and educate and discipline if we don't have our mind right? I mean, what do we do? I mean, I work out, but not everybody works out.
I think some of that, you know, to me is human beings have a tendency to just go to the extreme when they get passionate about something. So you see a lot of people when they get into fitness, they become health nuts, right? You know, it started as they're going to be healthy, and then it became like, if everyone else doesn't get on the same health train as me, then you're crazy. And then it becomes some sort of, you know, complex in their mind. You see people enter bodybuilding with the intention of, oh, I just want to move more and get bigger and stronger, to then they're competing and they're using substances they shouldn't, and they're doing all kinds of things, and body dysmorphia sets in, whatever. You know, you just kind of see that human nature where when you're passionate about something, you want to go to the extreme. You see people that want to work and provide for their family, and then they become workaholics and they don't know how to balance that, right? You see people who want to, you know, whatever, name the thing, want to be good with their money, but then they never treat themselves ever, and they just become depressed with a big pile of money, right?
It's the same with social media, though, too. I mean, social media can drive people's mental health in a place that it shouldn't be.
Especially for men, because, you know, you got, you know, all these, a lot of information that's out there where the expectation of a man is what's supposed to be, you know, because a lot of people will correlate it with, if you're not a man taking your family on the best trips for a week in Cabo or something,
then what kind of father are you?
Then what kind of father are you? But you're a man who works, you know, 15 hours a day to provide food, shelter, clothing, which is the essentials of life, but you're still not considered, you know, I wouldn't say not considered a good father, but you have that expectation of it.
Well, I think my only point with, you know, we have a tendency to go to extremes is the best thing you can do, take any of these aspects, faith, family, fitness, finance, you have to set a routine for your life that's manageable and realistic, right? When you're talking about your faith, well, you may be super passionate about your newfound faith and go, I'm going to study my Bible 18 hours a day. Well, you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to, be something that is just physically impossible for you, right?
Yeah, it's not practical. It's not wise.
Not practical, not wise. It's not how you should be spending all of your time. Doesn't mean you shouldn't study every day, right? But you cannot be the guy who locks himself up in a cage and that's all he does, right? Take your fitness. You cannot say, oh, now I'm just going to spend all day every day in the gym. That's not wise. There's balance to your life. So again, I think setting practical routines that are sustainable long term, not getting on the fad diet, not thinking that you're going to completely change your whole family's financial situation in the next 6 months, but create a years long plan to get you to where you want to be. Think, can I still sustain this same plan 10 years from now and 20 years from now? And if so, that might be a good plan for me. But I think people just want to drive themselves into the ground because we have an expectation to try to get to where someone else is, but we don't see how many years it took them to get there. You know what I mean?
But once that person is already, or they felt that they've already been, driven into the ground, I mean, how is it that we're going to help? Or, I mean, what can we suggest to everybody who's listening that they either themselves or they might have a friend that, man, they are putting in 60, 70 hours of work a week, but their mental, the mentality is literally just dwindling away. Like, what can we suggest? I mean, what would you suggest to them?
I'll ask you, because if somebody came up to you and said, man, Alex, I want to be a personal trainer, but you just have everything made. You have a good gym and people who pay you who want to. Well, it would go through your. One of the things I would assume would go through your mind is, yeah, but you haven't seen the past 20 years it took to get here, right?
That's true.
It's good decisions over long periods of time that affects good change.
And we all know that I've always been open about everything. And yeah, no, I mean, after 14 years of it, I think the mental toll for a good 5 or 6 years, it really put me in a destructive path. I mean, but I was never paid as a trainer to go, oh, man, I'm having a horrible day. I haven't slept. I haven't ate. I mentioned last show that, I had opened up another gym and it hit bankruptcy. I didn't have money to necessarily feed myself the way I was used to feeding myself.
Right.
So you get to that point where you're like, okay, well, what kind of adjustments I'm going to make? But yeah, the mental health of it, and I think that's why I love this platform that we have, is that we have such different experiences among us that we can actually speak to it. Because I know there's going to be somebody who's going to be relating to that, and it doesn't have to be gym related, but it's going to be, hey, I worked at this job and maybe I had to get a demotion, and what do I do? It's cliche to say you got to grind through it. You got to grind. No, you got to reach out and ask somebody for help. My definition of trying to grind through it put me in a very, very destructive path. So, yeah, it's something that we want to try to educate, that you have the fellowship of people you go to church with, people at your job, your family or your friends that actually you want to take the time to speak with, but it does make a big difference.
Well, I often talk about with the people I'm close to or at church, or I talk about how I'm not a self-made man. I'm not who I am today because I did something.
Right.
I'm who I am today because other people trained me, and I could lean on them for guidance. I can lean on them for direction, and because I had a heart that was willing to listen, as opposed to thinking that I know everything, that has helped me succeed and get me to where I am today. And that by no means is anything I've done. It's just me simply having the heart to want to learn, a heart to want to be a better individual, whether that's in faith, fitness, finances, have a better family than my upbringing. I mean, I wanted everything to be better. Every component of life, I want to be better. So I found somebody, like we talked about, seeing a dad or seeing a father figure that we just really love and appreciate. I found that. And I found this guy, and he trained me, helped me understand life as a whole. And I married his daughter, so he was my mentor, he was my mentor.
So all the single guys out there are gonna be like, okay, so I just gotta look to who I need to look up to them and find their daughter.
But that's what I was not who I am today. I'm not who I am today because of something I did. It's something that someone else did for me, and I just had a heart to want to listen. And because of that, I think that has really got me to where I'm at today. And then my wife and I try to pay that forward to other people in a bad situation. Well, let us help you. Let us be a blessing to you so that you can pay it forward to somebody else and be a blessing to them. And then we just start this snowball effect. It's love cures the world. It's that kind of mentality.
Well, and it's like we talked about a few weeks ago, that the hard truth is some people don't want to be helped, right? There are those individuals that, no matter how much you try to reach out your hand to them and say, let me give you real help, let's get your life on track. Some people just, they're stuck in their destructive life or whatever. So it takes two sides. There are people with a willingness to do the right thing, to put their life on a right path, who don't have the resources or the guidance that they need, right? And those are the people you want to find and be able to mentor. But on the flip side of that, sometimes you've got a heart to help people, and some people just don't want to be helped. But I do think that the majority of people are good-willed people that, with the right guidance, can not just make something of themselves, but make something of their life, like really make an impact on the people around them. You got to be willing to listen. Right?
And with that,
be coachable.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, everybody has a testimony. Everybody has a walk. And whether you're in a good spot now, mentally, physically, emotionally, faithfully, or spiritually, you can be in a better position by surrounding yourself around people who are doing those things. And I just think that we can just be a better individual if we work towards those things. It goes back to the word we've been tossing around, all three of us, is balance. If you're so focused in one area, the other areas are lacking and they're struggling. And so I just encourage our viewers, our listeners, to be the best version, best human being you can be.
Well, and there's seasons in life where things get out of balance, right? So Proverbs talks about getting out of debt, and the way to get out of debt is to run from it like the gazelle runs from the lion, right? Which means fight for your life to get out of it. Maybe that means you're working 100-hour weeks. Maybe that means you're, whatever, because you're in that corner, right?
Right.
But you get through the season and you get yourself to where you need to be. But if you make decisions that perpetuate that season, then that becomes your life, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, I remember 5-6 years ago, I was on my own, pretty young, had made some very
mind this audience, excuse me, but Jonathan is 22. He said 5-6 years ago, Jonathan's probably he is by far the most, or the only, well, I can't even put it in the explanation. For a 22-year-old, Jonathan acts like he's 75 years old. And
I feel like I'm 75 years old.
Yeah.
This guy's been making me deadlift. But but I was in a position as a teenager that I shouldn't have been in. And a lot of that was destructive decisions by me, right? Mm-hmm. And there are seasons of life where you really, really learn who is going to be there, right? Because I'm sure I will hit more tough spots throughout their lives, or my life. Hopefully it is not due to my own stupid decisions, but some of them will, right? But you hit those spots where some people are just scared to talk to you. But then you find those people who are really, really willing to reach out their hand and go, look, I've been in that spot, right. And be willing to build those relationships, cultivate those relationships. Father's Day just passed, and, for all of us with great dads, we're all celebrating. But there are people that didn't grow up with that, right? And I know that's a rough day for them too. But just because you don't have that dad in your home doesn't mean, like Michael said, that there aren't people who are willing to step in and be that for you, right? Yeah. Not literally, but be that role model for you.
But because statistically, the percentages are not good. I put up some data today, and just kind of piggybacking what Jonathan said, that there's a lot of kids that are fatherless. There's a lot of kids that are fatherless. And what the data shows that it actually doesn't discriminate who you are, whether you're black, brown, white. So that just goes to show that it's a problem, and if we don't have the strong, well-rounded, faithful, fathers, then it has to be, you have to, like Jonathan said, you have to find a father for you, because you can, but it takes, that first step to make that change and to understand that, hey, I'm in a bad position, but can't help everybody, but you can be helped. I mean, that's the biggest thing
and
from it.
You can't control anybody except yourself.
Right.
And you have to hit that spot. And so across the U.S., first of all, the U.S. literally leads the world in fatherless homes.
Yes.
We are the number one nation in the entire
For
world.
sure.
We are like double China and India, which are 2 and 3, I think. Like, it's absolutely crazy. So a lot of that's due to divorce. A lot of that's due to crimes committed. A lot of, and you can look at all of the reasons, but regardless of the reasons, when a father's not in the home, statistics just get scary.
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood that a kid is going to grow up into crime, likelihood for teen pregnancy is 7x, which only perpetuates these same issues generationally,
and
right?
the percentage of them actually being, actually, impregnating and then leaving the family too. So
chances only get
yeah.
right. And so my only point in that is not that if you come from that home that you're screwed. That's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of great people who came from bad situations, but you have to be the one to break the generational curse.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody has to do it. And so just, everybody says play the cards you're dealt. Man, throw away the cards, pick up your own hand, and move forward. I mean, take the positive that you have from your family. Maybe you have a wonderful mom who's been working through all of those things, or maybe it's vice versa or whatever. But take the positives from your family, and nobody is perfect, so take the negatives as well and learn from those things and break the generational curse. We can cry about it, we can sulk about it and talk about how hard our life is and make it even worse for our kids, or we can swing it.
We all know that. I'm gonna keep it real. When I saw the percentages for Hispanics, and we were almost at 46%, my first instinct was like, man, I was very fortunate to see, obviously my father around, my uncles around, but
it was a flip of a coin, basically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's 50%. But actually, I'm married into a family where I have 2 stepkids, so that was the 50%. So that responsibility, and I'm not saying that the father doesn't do a good job, but statistically, a family, as the father is not at the home. So I am in a statistic. So I don't want to use the word burden. It's the responsibility expectation, where I need to break that percentage, because when our kids go off to get married, I need to make sure that they do not become that 40%. So that's where that whole education and understanding and trying to pass on what we're trying to do, which is why I try to find myself around good-hearted people, faithful people, my fellowship, because it is a difficult thing. So, I mean, it's different.
And that's why, no matter what position you find yourself in, if you're listening to us and you have an absent father or absent parent, it's your responsibility to be different. It's your responsibility to change that percentage. And so if you did not have a father and you're a man, be the father you never had. Be him. Be the best version of him, so that your children have a father in their home. If you're a woman and your mom or any parent, your father, your mother, was not present in the home, you be the best mother you can be to your children, and change this percentage, because that's what we need. We need mothers and fathers, young people like yourself, changing the cycle, changing the course, and that's going to help our future generations.
Right. To kind of wrap up, I know we're on time, to kind of wrap up just what it actually boils down to. I mean, right now, men have the highest percentage, and we can go on it more lengthy in another show, but I mean, right now, unfortunately, men also lead our country in suicides. and mental health disorders. So, being that, and mental health month, I mean, it should be every month, but
Men's Mental Health Month is June.
It's something that where we kind of wanted to make sure we tied in how Father's Day is that, man, we handle a lot of pressure. And whether you're an immediate father to a child, or you can be an uncle, or you can be a brother, it just, in general, we all have a lot to handle. But just understand there's outlets, there's people to talk to, there's different agencies,
Reach out to us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're all. That's how we actually put this together. Is this fact that we all just started kind of talking in the gym and just realized that this is something that we've helped each other out. But the numbers are staggering. I mean, 3 out of 5 suicides in America are by men. So what are we doing? Because women go through just as much stressful stuff. Women have to deal with a lot. But why are they not making that step, but men are. So that, and I personally think it's the expectation. I think it's personally of what it's been passed down to us as men, what we're expected to do. So
I think it's a loss of purpose too, because I want to word this carefully, but obviously expectations for men have always been high all throughout history. So why now is it such a problem? Why is mental health getting worse and worse? And I think it is, again, we've talked about this before, but an American culture that is just self-serving, and we've now started to degrade the responsibility, maybe, that, there's still an expectation that the best men are going to be the career guys, the stronger guys, the, whatever, all of these stereotypes. But I don't necessarily think that we put that responsibility on ourselves on an individual basis to actually take care of ourselves and step up and actually lead our family. I think men just inherently need a purpose. They need something to lead. And if you have no family and no one to lead yourself. I mean, make those good routines in your life. Have goals, realistic goals, and things you're working toward every day. You gotta be able to wake up every morning with a purpose behind it. I think faith is the number one thing that's going to assist in that, but all of these other avenues as well. Show up for your family. I mean, water the grass. It's amazing how much better your wife treats you when you are really pouring into her, and vice versa. I mean, sometimes all it takes is one person stepping up and saying, I'm gonna make this right, I'm gonna make this change, and your life starts to come together. But then understand you can only control you. I mean, at the end of the day, if you cannot control the girlfriend, you cannot control the wife, whatever the situation, you cannot control what your friends do, but control you. Follow good, positive peer pressure and be around people who you want to be like, and avoid the negative. Because I just think we've lost a purpose. When you wake up every day and you don't know why you woke up that day, then life is depressing. But I don't believe we're a cosmic accident. I think you're created in God's image, and that comes with a responsibility to wake up every day and be a good steward of the life that you've been given, right? And when you view it that way, and you walk through every day wanting to love God with your heart, mind, soul, body, strength, and you want to love your neighbor as yourself, and go through life that way, I mean, I think it gives it a different purpose.
Yeah, just understand that no matter how hard it gets, you have to stick through it, and you have to reach out. We just can't continue to be trying to pretend like we're the toughest people on earth. Like, just can't do it anymore. You have to reach out, and just know that you're no weaker by reaching out, because trust me, biggest thing is understanding that reaching out for help can really make a world of a difference, for sure. So just know that.